Hey guys, this week you got me, and I'm tackling one of your number one questions. We get emails, we get posts, we get comments. How do you do your trip planning? It's driving me crazy. Can I get an amen? Right? Yeah. So that's what I'm going to go over today. In our 3 years here full time on the road in a toy hauler, we have learned a few things about trip planning, about what to do and what not to do. And so I thought today I would break down how I do it and do it without driving myself crazy every time I go out there to plan a trip. So whether you're full-time or part-time, you're going to get a lot out of today's video. So let's get going. So I think I'm going to try to do this in two different ways. One, I'm going to talk about what I do first to try to even get it narrowed down to where we're going. And then the software that I use to plan it all. I use the RV Live Trip Wizard. You could also use a Google map. It's just a little more steps that you're going to have to take because RV Life Trip Wizard has it built in, a lot of the things that you're going to need to do to narrow it down. But you can do it either way. So you don't have to use this app, but that's how I'm going to show you. But first, I wanted you to kind of know the system I have. Hey guys, I'm going to break in really quick. As you can see, I'm actually editing this video, and I realize it's a little longer than our normal videos, but this one I felt like deserved the extra time to really deep dive into the topic of trip planning, because it really is one of our most asked questions. And it's certainly one of the biggest frustrations of people who are going full time. So I think it deserves that. You can go down in the description. It depends on your phone or if you're on your TV, but there will be chapters so you can jump ahead to different things. But if you like this deep dive content, chime in and let us know, because it allows us to kind of expand on these topics a little deeper for you. This is exactly what it's like in our going full-time course community. If you didn't know, we have a course that teaches people every aspect that you need to know about going full-time, from picking your rig to trip planning to everything like insurance and domicile address and how you get your mail, and then the emotional aspects of transitioning from a traditional house setting to being mobile and moving all the time, especially in a small setting. There's so many things in this course: checklists, spreadsheets, helping you timeline your launch to go full time. But this is a little glimpse into what that community is like. I'll put all the information about the course community in the description, but I just wanted to let you know about the jump ahead features, about maybe you, if this is a little bit longer than normal. This isn't what we always do. We usually try to keep it 20 to 30 minutes, but this one just ran a little longer because it's so much good information. So I hope you do enjoy it, and let me know if you do. So the very first thing I usually plan my trips as a year, believe it or not. Occasionally I'll just do it, from a season. Like if we're going to be the summer season, you could do it that way too. And if you're just doing a trip, you'll just look at it as a trip to Utah or whatever it is. But the first thing I do, and I took this from KYD, Keep Your Daydream. Trish calls them big rocks, right? So these are the things are a hard date that you need to be somewhere at a certain time. Maybe it's a wedding, a graduation, someone's birthday, a holiday. You're going to need to be in those places. You start with those. You put them in your map, and then you can kind of see, okay, this is the span. These are the amount of miles, this amount of states from one to the other that you're going to have to fill between those big rocks. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. But that's the first thing you do. The second would be mini rocks, I guess, maybe. Now, these are things I would like to do, but they're not like, I don't have to do them. So for us, we are really into music. Sometimes I'll have like tour dates off to the side of our favorite groups, or something that we want to attend, a festival or something like that. I keep those in my notepad on my phone whenever I see, like, hey, the Alabama Shakes, a band that we love, are going to be on tour this summer, and I'm doing the summer scheduling. So I'm just going to make note of that to see if I can reference. I'm not going to reroute us to go to those, but it would be nice. Another one, like this summer, I knew that there was a lumberjack festival near where we had planned to go. And so I put that in as, oh, I'd like to fit this in between somewhere. So you'll have those mini rocks and things like that. It could be just a destination you have in mind. So big rocks are the ones you can't move the dates. Those are solid. You got to put those in first. And then you have kind of like your mini rocks that you might want to keep in mind. Again, your phone is your friend. I could put these in a Google map, but I'm probably, if I'm sitting at the TV at night, just going through my phone and I see something really cool that I would like to remember, I'm not going to then go and pull up a Google map and put it in there. So what I do is usually save those places in my phone, on Facebook, on Instagram, in Pinterest, in little folders, and then I just throw them in there. I don't really even have it organized. I should be more organized than that, but at least I'm making note of it to refer back to. And I'll show you when we get to picking our adventures and the things that we do, that comes in pretty handy. So big rocks are down. We're going to put those in our Trip Wizard or our app. And I'm going to go back to that. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have to pick where you're going to stay. A lot of times when I put something in the map in the Trip Wizard, it's just the city. So I haven't even picked the campground. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like when you put your big rocks in, because the next step will be picking where we stay, and that gets a little trickier. So you'll see here that I have Elkhart as my starting point. So that's whatever you're going to do first. So I'm going to pretend that this trip is basically starting in Elkhart, and then it is going to go to, we'll say Oberlin, Ohio, because that's where our daughter's college is. And we're going to add that. I don't even pick the number of nights and all that yet. I am literally just putting the names in here and seeing the distance and kind of getting in my head, okay, do I need a harvest host between these two locations? Do I need to find another place to stay? How, I'm not going to do 10 hours in one day, obviously. So something's going to have to go in between things to fill those gaps. But let's get our little trip in here first. So Oberlin's next. We're going to go Hershey. And we're going to say Hershey because that's where the Hershey RV show is. So we're going to say that that's probably going to be part of this trip. So I'm going to put that in because that would be a hard date. You can't change the date of that. And I think the Oberlin date is going to be like my daughter starting school year. She's going to need some help getting started. So getting moved in. So yes, we have Oberlin, we have Hershey. And then let's put in Evansville, Indiana. And that's where our family is mostly. And I have a funny feeling that's either going to be Thanksgiving or Christmas. We'll put that in there. So this is over a long period of time. So all we have are dates. So we see here we have 3.5 hours to Oberlin, totally doable from Elkhart. We see we have 5 hours and 51 minutes from Hershey. Obviously, we're going to have to stick some stuff in there. And the same thing to Evansville. So now we can at least lock in the dates of those places. You could have done it at the same time, to be honest, but I just like to see it ahead first. We know we're going to stay at least a week because Barry works during the week. We don't stay half weeks anywhere. We're at least going to stay a week, if not 2 weeks at each place. My guess is we're only going to stay at Oberlin a week because our daughter's not going to want us to stick around that long. So let's go change that again. So let's just make that the 17th through the 24th. Okay. So now we have that in there. Okay. So 47 nights are in between Elkhart and Oberlin. That's a long time. So yeah, we know we have a lot to fill in there. So what I usually do is just, push the map back out and take a look at this. And what it looks like is we go, we go through Cleveland. There's Elkhart to around the Cleveland area, but we have always wanted to go to the Finger Lakes in New York. And that's a decent time of year to go there. Actually, I would love to have gone there a little later, maybe after Hershey, to catch the leaf peeping. But we're just going to go ahead and put it in early. And that's a great example of you need to do these things in advance, because if you want to get a campground or a state park or anything during leaf peeping season in the Finger Lakes, you're going to have to book that sucker way early. These are things you have to think about, and why it's good to book in advance in some ways. Now, when we go out west and we do boondock, we don't usually make hardly any reservations. But in this case, this is going to be, if it was a holiday and you went in a state park or something like that, even just getting in a campground for any extended amount of time during a holiday is hard. So that's something I would put in here too. So that's why I put Evansville. It shouldn't be too hard to get into Evansville, Indiana at that time of the year, because it's not a season for a lot of RVing be happening in the Midwest. So I'm not really worried about that. But if it was in Florida, obviously, you would need to book that well in advance to even have a chance to get in a state park. And then, of course, near a beach or things like that have to be booked well in advance. So these are just the little things that you need to think ahead of time. So that's why we're putting these in early, so that if there's a 6-month window into the state park reservation system, that you have the time to even get those. You can always cancel them if you change your plans. So almost very few places will penalize you if you cancel well in advance. It's usually if it's last minute. If you anything, you lose a reservation fee of $10 or something like that. So it's better to think ahead, especially in the East and especially in high demand areas. So here we are. We're going to add that Finger Lake region, and I'm just going to put Watkins Glen, that I know because I keep this little running list of places that in my phone that I really want to go to. I know that that is the place just from memory. So I'm going to put Watkins Glen in. And I'm pretty sure we're going to try to get in the state park. So for right now, I'm wishful thinking, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add it to the trip and I'm going to put 14 days. Not sure if I'm going to get that, but that's our wishful thinking. We're going to put this after Oberlin and before Hershey. So our main goal is to first put something in here between Oberlin and Watkins Glen. Okay, so now we need to make sure our starting point I have as July 1st in Elkhart, and that is 47 days from when we need to be at Oberlin. So I'm thinking we're going to go up here into Michigan. So I'm going to put in my notebook to start researching places that we may want to visit up in here. I have a past trip where I actually have already done this, so I'm probably going to refer to that. I just make up trips. Like, we thought we were going to go and do a Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota trip one time, and then it ended up getting canceled and I had to do something else. So I still have those notes from that trip, so they're in draft. So I can go back and look there. But that is a big time frame. So we're probably going to do, for us, 47 days is probably 3 different stays of a couple weeks ish, something like that. Not quite, maybe a week at one and 2 weeks at the other ones. So I'm going to kind of look and see where a central location will be, that where we could hit a lot of places that we want to see within a two week period. So that is on my to-do list. So now we're going from Oberlin straight over to Watkins Glen, and that's 14 days. Now the Hershey show, I will need to get the date and put it in here. I don't think I have it in here right now. So we can see how long we're from attending that event. So let me check that out. Okay, so our Hershey show is the 10th to the 14th. So we're going to come over here. We're going to click on Hershey, and I'm going to hit edit. And I'm going to go to lock the stay. I usually don't lock it until I book it, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and do that because this is a date that does not need to move. I'm just going to have to replace it when I put my campground in. So, because we just have the place marked, right? So we're going to do the 7th, and it's through the 14th. I'm going to go ahead and put through the 20th. I don't know that we're going to do that, but I usually don't like, if the last day of the RV show is a Sunday, that would be the normally day that we would leave. So I'm really not sure. It'll probably depend on where we stay. So, because there's a lot to see in Hershey that we've never seen before, so we could have another weekend to do that. So that might be good. So we're going to leave that in there. We're going to hit save. Okay. So now we have Oberlin to Watkins Glen to Hershey. And that actually all fits right in a row. So you can see we're 7 days at Oberlin, 14 days at Watkins Glen, which is the Finger Lakes. We'll figure that out later. Hershey will be there 13 days. And then we need to go to Evansville. Now, the thing about this is a little challenging is we are probably going to have to leave earlier than that to give us time. Actually, no, that's not right. We'll have to set our Evansville date. We haven't done that yet. So we're going to set our next date, which is the last of the big rocks that can't move. And we're going to make this Evansville, and this is going to be on Thanksgiving. So I am going to push this out, and I'm going to have to get the date of Thanksgiving because I don't even know off the top of my head. So it looks like Thanksgiving is the 27th. So we're going to want to be there the Sunday before and then leaving the weekend after. So that should work out. So we're going to set that date. Now you're going to see that we have a bunch, 64 nights between Hershey and Evansville. So that I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to actually do the first part of our trip first and show you some of those examples. I think the Finger Lakes will be a really good one to show you excursions, how to find things that are interesting and all that. So I'll also maybe throw in here a boondocking so you can see how to do coordinates, because that's something that I run into a lot using TripWizard. Hey guys, if you like these deeper dives into the how-to of RV life, whether it's full-time or just RV life in general, give us a like and subscribe. We grow when you guys watch more, engage more, do more. So commenting on the videos, liking the videos, and definitely subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you get notified when we do release new videos really helps us do more and reach more people, and it fuels our travels by helping support us. So if you want to do that, that's a great thing to do. And also check out our website at likethere'snotomorrow.net. We have lots of great free downloads, checklists, we have courses, we have all kinds of opportunities for you to join our newsletter list so you get an email when we do new things and release new information. And it's a great way for us to get to know you as well. So we would love your support, and we really do appreciate everything you've done for us so far. And we can't wait to take you on more adventures with us. Okay, so now we have our big rocks kind of put in there and the dates put in. We know we have a lot of days to fill in between. This is where I think people get a little overwhelmed. You're like, how do I even pick what to do for 64 days between these two places? Well, here's what I do. I mentioned keeping a Pinterest page, saving a folder on Instagram and also Facebook, assuming you use those. If you don't, then this will just be research that maybe you do online. But whenever I see a post of amazing place, I will save it into that folder. And I have a destinations ones and I have a campground one. I kind of try to categorize them a little bit, but I'll start looking at those. I'll just scroll down and see if they're even in the areas of where I want to go in the space that I'm trying to fill. So that's one thing you can do. I'll also keep up with friends and things that they're doing, and I learn from them. So I'll make notes of that, and I put those notes in in my notepad on my phone. And I always have like a trip ideas or destinations, things to see. And sometimes I'll put it by state if I'm really feeling like I'm organized, which I don't always do. But that definitely is a way to save ideas to refer back to. Okay, so just like the Finger Lakes one, that was one that I had seen. We love wine, and we would love to go and explore that area. Watkins Glen was a really pretty state park that I saw on another channel. Again, those are notes as you're watching, other YouTube channels, our YouTube channel, and you get an idea, throw that in notes. And if it starts to collect it by state, that's helpful. But that is a way to just make sure you always have really cool ideas for trips, at least places or campgrounds or things like that. So I'll consult these. So then I try to fit those in next. I will also, so we know we're going to the Finger Lakes, right? So I will go on YouTube and I will search best Finger Lakes campgrounds and things like that. And I'll watch some videos and try to narrow down the place I want to stay based on that. That's why I knew about Watkins Glen State Park, because somebody else. Now, the extra thing you have to do when you're, if you have a bigger rig like we do, is making sure you can fit at Watkins Glen State Park. So then that becomes the second one. I qualify it. Yes, I can get a spot that I can fit into there. And if the answer is no, I'm probably not going to get in there. Or for us, even if it is really, really heavy tree cover and I don't see a firm, T-Mobile will work there or Verizon will work there, I will probably pick a different place that has open sky, or at least pick the spot within the campground that has open sky. Sometimes I have to call to get that information. One of the websites that I use to qualify, especially state parks and things like that, is campground views. Just Google campground views and see if your campground or state park or wherever you're wanting to stay is in there, and they will actually give you a view of each spot. So even if the website for the campground or the state park doesn't have very good pictures, sometimes they don't, they'll have the length of the pad or the length of the spot, but that doesn't always help you. So sometimes if you go to campground views, that'll be a better view. I will also do Google Earth down on top of the campground. And if there's not heavy tree cover, you can actually see the spots, and you can see sometimes if like it's heavy tree cover, or, you know, there's a big boulder on the corner of the one you want to pull into, and you know, as a big rig, that's going to be problematic. Probably not going to pick that spot. So these are all little things that I do to start narrowing it down, but it does help to run it through all these things when you are bigger. And so like for us, I want to look for a spot that maybe has no obstruction behind it. So even if it's a back end, so that we can push our tail end maybe over the grass to give us more room in the front. That is something I do quite a bit. And sometimes if like we're 44 feet, sometimes I'll put in 40 feet and then look for that spot, because I can see like class A's in the pictures and things like that. I know we can probably fit, but their antiquated old system won't accept a 44-foot rig. It might accept a 42-foot rig. It might accept a 40-foot rig. And then it'll let you in. However, when you get there and you start looking at the spots, they're like, oh, it's 60 feet in length. Then why didn't you allow me to put in 44 feet? Because that's my actual length. It's because it was made and created maybe before rigs were really that big. So sometimes you just have to play the system a little. So you might have to put in 40 feet, then it'll show you the spots available. And then you can go look at the view of the spot and say, oh, well, it's wide open grass behind it. I can back way up in there and we'll totally be fine getting in that spot. So those are like little things you can do when you're trying to narrow it down to the campground. I do, like I said, YouTube, I will look through people's videos, and even if it's not a state park, if it's just a campground, I'll kind of see what they thought about it, get a visual of it, then go do Google reviews on it. I do use the RV Trip Wizard reviews. Those are great. It's all built in. But sometimes when there's not that many reviews, or people are just being extra snipey, like you can tell some people have never left a nice review in their life. I don't know. They just only complain. I don't really base my decision off of that. I will base it more off of like very specific, like unkept roads, potholes everywhere, you know, don't trim the trees, they don't take care of the place, you know, whether or not they didn't have good Wi-Fi doesn't matter to me because I have my own Wi-Fi. So I kind of take those as with a grain of salt sometimes, but I will also look at Google reviews because there will be more reviews there usually, and I can get some different perspectives and pictures. So I use the pictures a lot of times in RV Life. People will leave their review and then leave their pictures, and that's really helpful. But there's generally more of them on Google. So I'll go to their Google listing, look at the reviews, look at the pictures there, and again, make my decision based on that. So the next level, the I guess you would say little rocks again are sometimes I'll pick places nearby where Barry might be able to go fishing. Maybe it's a certain season for certain fishing. So like maybe we get salmon season up in Washington, Oregon, or something like that. That is actually a date thing, but it's a big window. So you never quite know. But I will put those kind of things in as well. I will look at attractions and things in the area. So if I'm nearby a national park, maybe I'm not staying in that national park, or it's within an hour drive or something like that. That is something I'll put on there. And a lot of times when I do that, I'll just put them in. I won't put a date on them, but it will just show near the place that I'm staying, and then I can make that decision. And I'll show you how I do that in just a second. Okay. Another thing I wanted to show you is, so now we have our big rock set, we have our big rocks dates, and we have a lot of gaps, right? I will sometimes go ahead and start filling the gaps. That tends to take a little longer. So I will go ahead and show you how to complete maybe what you're going to do in the places that are your rocks. Now, if it's visiting family, you probably don't even have to add anything, but I'm going to use the Watkins Glen Finger Lakes area as an example of how I would then pick the campground. You know, pick the campground is pretty easy. We put Watkins Glen because that's where we want to stay. So I would go to their website, see if I can get in on the dates that I need to, verify that first. If I get in, then I'll lock it in for sure. It's done. And I put all of the details in the listing. So what I would do is go in here and add, let's see here, Watkins Glen. Yep. I'll do the edit. I would put in my camp. This is how I do it. I don't fill everything out. I don't track my gas and all that. But what I do track is how much it costs. So I would basically verify. So say I did get the 14 nights. I would go down here in the comments. I would add the dates. I would add the spot, any details they sent, check in, check out. If I paid partial, reservation numbers, you can put that in here. Any information I can, so that I don't have to go back and dig up the listing again or the confirmation email, and I'll have it all in my Trip Wizard. Now, if you're not using Trip Wizard, you're going to need to keep those emails somewhere so you can find them again, so you can get your reservation information. You know, I don't know how many times we've been in the car on the way there, and I'm like, I don't know I don't know what spot we're in, and if it's back in or if it's pull through, or you know, do we have electric only? Do we have full hookups? You know, all those details I put in the Trip Wizard so that it's really easy for me to pull it up on the app on my phone, in the car or in the truck on the way there, or the night before, or something like that. So definitely take advantage of organizing yourself with this. So once it's locked in, dates are locked in, booked, info's all down here in the comments, we're going to hit save. And now we just need to figure out what we're going to do when we're there. Now, I will tell you, I have already looked at YouTube videos, did Google searches, and I know of like some wineries that I'm going to visit. So normally what I would do is I will go and I put must see near Watkins Glen. And then I'll just see what it comes up with. It's going to show me tours and things like that, which are cool. Nearby attractions. I'll look through here and see if there's anything I really think we might want to do. I'll go down here. If we do tours, we use Viator, and I'll put the link in the description. A lot of times I'll go there and see if there's any culinary tours, or, I mean, we've done everything from e-bike brewery tours to, you know, wine tastings on a bus with a bunch of other people. I mean, just, it can be anything. A fishing excursion on a boat or something like that. So I will start looking through here based on how much I want to spend, and what kind of activities I want to do. If I'm looking for bike rides or hikes, I will actually make note of that sometimes in the Trip Wizard as well, either in the comments section of the campground or as its own standalone activity. And so what I did is I found Watkins Glen, I think it's their tourism board or whatever, and they had a calendar, and in that calendar they had things listed that they have going on there locally. And that's when you're going to find sometimes farmers markets, you know, little music festivals. It can be anything, workshops. Let's see, Father's Day, if you were there on a holiday, that might be a good one to narrow down some things to do. Here's a waterfront festival and cardboard boat regatta. I would totally go to that. But you can see, you can find these things, and then you can go back to your Trip Wizard. And I will sometimes use the place that it's at. So let's see here. Let's just put in Atwater Wine, which is one of the vineyards that I wanted to go to. So it's over here from Watkins Glen. So I'm going to basically add that to our trip. I'm not going to put a night on it because we're not staying there. It's just going to be listed next to the campground area. So I'm going to put that after Watkins Glen Park. So we have already arrived at Watkins Glen, and now I'm going to look in my trip wizard and I'm going to say, oh, there's that really cool winery. It's only 39 minutes away. Let's do that. And so I will fill a location up with several little things after it in the trip wizard, and it will be on my map. So then I'll have those all listed so that when we get there, we know what we're doing. And if I need to buy tickets in advance, I'll have done that. So if I did a Viator tour, I would put that in there based on the place they want us to meet them. And that's the address I would put in. And I would put the date in there so I would know what day it is. Now, I also put those in my phone to remind me too. But this is just a way at one glance, you can look and go, okay, we're staying here. These are the things that we're going to do. I had another, I'm just going to put Watkins Glen Farmers Market. Because let's face it, there are, I'm just going to attach it to the city, and I'm going to add it to the trip, and we'll put it after the winery, and I'm going to put in the comments every Saturday morning at, wherever it is. Well, I could spell that right. And all I'm making are notes. I will verify and double check everything once we get there, so that we don't miss anything. But at least I put it in here that, hey, that's the farmer's market. These are the things I kind of had in mind to do. One of the things that I find is there are certain places you go there for the campground. So a national park, some state parks have lots to do within the state park. And you spend a lot of time at the campground. We generally go to a lot of places where we're driving to see things. We're not big hang out at the campground, sit outside people. That's okay for a lot of people. But for us, we want to eat the food. We want to see the sights. We want to go to the festival. We want to hear the music. We want to go on the hikes, the bike rides, and the fun, crazy excursions that you kind of hap upon are sometimes the best ones. But sometimes you have to dig for them. So this is just an example of once you book that spot, go ahead and find out what you're going to do there. One, it makes you anticipate, oh my gosh, we have so much fun things scheduled or at our fingertips when we go there. And that just makes trip planning all the much better. This is the hard work. The reward is when you get there. Okay, now I thought I'd show you some of the cool features in the trip wizard that makes all of this so much easier. I really haven't dove into this and really described it for you, so I thought I'd do that real quick. So the trip wizard. Okay, so this is our tentative trip on the left. This is all the different places we're going. We can click on them anytime and see the notes, see if we've locked it in and paid for it or booked the reservation. But what if you don't know where you're going and you don't have any idea where you're going to stay? So let's go down to here. Let's go over here to Oberlin. I know where we're going to stay when we go there, but maybe we want to go somewhere different. So we're going to come up here. I'm going to turn on the campground listing. Now the cool thing is you can kind of see it at a glance, and they'll pop up over here as you roll over them. I believe this is the one we stayed at before. It was fine. And you can also kind of tell it, you can filter the parks, and you can tell it, okay, I only want state parks, or I want all of the parks. You can do that here too. You only want to see 4-star ratings and above. You only want to see ones that had 5 reviews or more. So as you can see, they're starting to go away. So I don't always do this because I have stayed at some really great state parks that were kind of wonky reviews, and they were totally fine. Same thing with campgrounds. So I like to make that decision myself. So I don't always filter it by that. Sometimes someone's brand new and they don't have any reviews listed yet. So I don't usually go by that either. But you can also do features, like if you only wanted to see pull-through places that have pull-through sites, you can narrow that down. I don't usually put the pets allowed. Almost everybody allows pets. Now, whether or not they allow your pet, that's another story altogether. You need to always ask if you have a certain breed of dog or an iguana or I don't know what. You may need to ask those questions and look at the contract when you book it. Big rig access, I have found that isn't always accurate, so I don't turn that on. Hookups and connectivity, if you're someone who only wants full hookups, 50 amp this is where you can tell it that. We generally will take anything, so we don't narrow it down. A lot of times we have no hookups, so that's okay with us. But you can see how you can go amenities, price, what's going on. If they take Good Sam or some sort of discount club thing, you can narrow it down there. So then you can really see specifically more of the parks that only you want to see and none of the other ones that you don't. So you can also favorite. If you look over here, this is one that I would like to stay at eventually. It is super expensive, so we have yet to stay there. But maybe we'll splurge one day and do that. But so yeah, so here's another one down here that I had liked because it was recommended to us after we stayed there a while. It's a little farther away from our daughter's campus, but it's a state park, which I like. So I can go start narrowing it down based on that. Now, another thing that's cool that they have in here, and all you have to do is click on one of them. And when you pull it up at Park Details, it's going to tell you an overview about it. You're going to see pictures. It's going to tell you what features they have at the park, reviews, Q&A and tips, which are always very insightful. And it will give you, not everywhere, but a lot of places, the weather patterns for certain times of the year. I find this is very important. I will also usually Google that as well. But it'll not only tell you now, but it'll tell you, hey, if I'm not staying there till October, it's 63 and lows in the 40s. That's nice weather for fall. Maybe I want to stay there. So those are things that you can help you narrow it down. And then if you like this place, you can go and pull up their website and go book it. And then you can come back here and lock it in if you get it. So that is pretty cool. Now up here, they also have points of interest. I use this quite a bit because a lot of times I will be looking for harvest hosts in between some of the stays. So I might say, I want to see, all the harvest hosts that are around here. So this is something somewhat new, which is pretty awesome because now you don't have to go to the harvest host app. But you can see, okay, look at all these harvest hosts. I can go, now you can look them up. Like, let's pull the details up. And if you have a harvest host membership, it's automatically going to pull the page up. If you're already logged in, that's even better. But you can now go and check out and see if this is where you want to stay. And if it is, you can go back over here and add it to your trip. And now it'll be added to, let's just go ahead and add it. We'll buy Overland. So now that harvest host is in here. And some of these harvest hosts now you can stay up to like 3-4 days. So you could add this. So maybe we don't need a campground. Maybe we just stay 4 nights at, okay. So this is something that happens a lot. I already put the time frame in. So I don't have room for 4 more days here. So that's what it's telling me. So I'm going to cancel that. And so I had put the 7 days in as the Overland College. So that's now going to not be locked in. And we're just going to put 0 because that's just holding the place of the area. That wasn't our reservation. So say we wanted to stay here 4 nights. Now we can put 4 because I took it off of the other one. And now you're going to see, okay, we're going to go to Oberlin to see our daughter, but we're staying here for 4 days. And now it will allow that in there. So that's a little tricky. Sometimes it does with this, but it's just telling you, hey, you don't have enough room. You don't have enough dates left. So you got to go back and look at your dates and take that out. So yeah, so that's kind of how you can start seeing that. So you can now do harvest host, which is super cool. Now going back up here, so say you didn't want to see all your filtered stuff anymore, you can turn that off. You can come back over here and say you don't want to see harvest host, but you'd like to see where the rest areas and the loves and you has all of these different attractions and places. You want to see amusement parks. You can tell it you want to see all of these, laundry, and if they're in there, it will show you on the map. So you just click that over, zoom out. Sometimes you have to zoom in and zoom out to see all of the things that are filtered. And you can search in the area. So now let's see what this is. This is a rest area. So you can, if you were traveling down these highways, so on our way out, if we need a rest area, now we know that there's one right here.
So it also helps track that. And you could put them in your list, just to let yourself remind yourself that there's a rest area that you might want to hit. Same thing with, okay, Elks Lodge. Now, this is another thing that's on here. If you're an Elks member, the Elks Lodges, you can turn that on and be able to see them. We use that quite often as well. So you can see how you can start filling these. But when you zoom out, you got all this stuff on, and that can get really messy. So you can turn that off at any time. And now it's just going to show you what you have on your trip, which I think is cool. And you can turn the POIs off too. Yeah. And then those will go away as well. So it's a pretty neat way to track things. It just keeps you organized. It lets you vision your trip ahead of time so there's no loose ends. And this is just a really cool way of doing it. Again, you can do it in a spreadsheet. You can do it in a Google map. It's just going to not have everything at your fingertips. You're going to have to look at Google and go back and forth and put those in your map. So, but you can also do that.
All right, so let's talk about finding things to do when you're in these areas. I have a whole slew of different things that I will search for just to see what's going on, just to see what's happening. Again, I do YouTube search. I will look at my notes, any of the folders I have. I will do a quick search in the active Facebook groups I'm in. So they'll usually go for the biggest ones or things like that. You go to the search bar within the group and just put in where you're going and see if anybody else has commented on where they stayed, what they did, their thoughts. You can even post in those groups, hey, has anybody gone to Watkins Glen, the Finger Lakes area? We're going to be staying here in October and I'm looking for cool things to do and see. What do you think? They'll give you a ton of things to go to. So you know your groups. There are some groups that you trust more than others that you can do that in. So that's another way of learning the best places to stay and things to do. TripAdvisor is a great place to go and just search the area. I always look at concerts and festivals and music and food. That's just my jam. That's what we enjoy doing. So I will always search that. I like diners, drive-ins, and dives. Guy Fieri's show. I like some of the places he goes. So sometimes I'll go to his map and look and see if there's anything around there that he went to and then watch that episode to see if I want to go there. I will often Google off the beaten path in wherever you're going, like Watkins Glen, little known things to do in wherever you're going, put the city name. You wouldn't believe the articles that might come up that might just give you these hidden gems that only the locals know. That is another tip. When you get to your destination, talk to the campground host, talk to the people that live there. If you go to a restaurant, ask your server. You're at just a store, ask the store person, like, what do I need to see that maybe isn't as known or isn't the big things that everybody goes to, not as touristy? Where do the locals want you to go, kind of thing? Ask them because they're going to give you the best ones. We always look at breweries, wineries, cideries, restaurants, best hikes near wherever you're at, best bike paths, best bike rides, best mountain biking in those are all things that we use on Google searches to try to find what we want to do when we go to these places. Sometimes I put them in the trip planner. Sometimes I'll just put a note somewhere and then we'll check them out when we get there. But these are ways that you can ensure that you have plenty of things to do. You have plenty of choices. So if it rains or if it doesn't, you have some different options. Weather can throw a real wrench in things sometimes. So those are multiple options are always good to have. Okay, I'm not going to go really deep into finding boondocking locations. We are working on a boondocking course and community where we're going to have hopefully a map of all the places we've stayed, something where we can dive deeper into the aspect of planning boondocking and finding the places. But I wanted to show you just a real quick how you can use it with RV Life Trip Wizard and how you can document it and put it into trips where maybe you're going back and forth between campgrounds and coordinates for boondocking. I didn't find anything near the Finger Lakes since we were kind of working on that. I knew I wouldn't. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to do. And I'll just use one of my tools that I use. So on Facebook, I am in a group called Boondocking for Big Rigs. This is one of my favorite groups because we do have an extra challenge with boondocking because of our size. And what I'll do is go in here and search within the group, maybe the place that I'm going. So I put in Finger Lakes, nothing came up. You could probably put New York and try that way too. But in this one, I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to grab some coordinates and show you. So say you look through here and, okay, here's a great one, this is beautiful. This person is outside of Capitol Reef, Utah, and they gave the coordinates of where this spot is. I think I might want to put this in our trip. Okay, so I know it's nowhere close to where we're at, but just bear with me here. So no, I just copied those coordinates. And a lot of times I will look in here and see what they said, look at the comments, see what other people said. They will usually give a lot of things that they did there. I mean, how the space is. So say I've already qualified it. I looked on Google Earth. I feel like it's got a good spot for us and I want to put it in our trip. So all I'm going to do is come up here and paste it into the search, and I'm going to go to it. That's going to show me. So what I think I'll do is put this in. I'll just put it at the very end of our trip, the last stop, and hit save. So it's going to add that to our trip. And then what I'll probably also do is over here it is, and make some notes in there, and probably cut and paste any notes that were in that listing about the spot, the entrance, details of like, is it a 14-day limit? Where's the gas stations near there? Where's the propane? Where's the water? Is there a dump station? Any of that I'll actually put in here as well. And I'll hit save. So now I have that trip. You could also name it, like you could come up here and put Capitol Reef just for reference. And now you have it kind of noted a little bit. So obviously you can put coordinates in here, or even as something like, say it's your friend's house, say you're going to mooch dock at your friend's house, say you're going to mooch dock, you take their address, put it up here. So I don't know, here I'm literally just picking someone's address. And we're going to add that trip, and I'll put mooch dock, 14 days, I don't know, just whatever notes you want to put there. And we'll just go ahead and add it. So now you have your mooch docking address in here, and you could put their name if you wanted to. So you can see, you can almost put anything in here that you want to make note of, you're going to stay at. Again, you can just do that. So say we're at Capitol Reef, we're going to be there for 14 days. And again, if it wouldn't have accepted that 14 days, it means there wasn't enough room. So if I would have locked in this other one after it, maybe there was only 7 days available, I would have to adjust that number. So since it's at the end, you can just do whatever. But you can see how you can just keep adding to it. And now you're building your whole trip. And at the bottom, you'll see the total number of miles and nights. And you can also add up the costs. So as I get the cost of the places nailed down, I add that to this. And now I'm actually tracking how much I'm spending as well. So it's a really great way to make trip planning a lot easier. The more organized you can be, the more details you can put in, the better it'll be when it comes time, because you'll have everything at your fingertips. I know trip planning can be so stressful, and it was probably the number one thing that stressed me out at the beginning, because it was just so new, picking the spots, knowing how, if you're going to fit or not, the unknown of it all. All you can do is as much reviews, research, looking at pictures, call the offices, talk to the rangers if you can, ask them, hey, I'm 44-foot long toy hauler and I booked this site. What do you think? Am I going to have any trouble getting in and out of there? Am I going to fit, just if it makes you feel better, do that. There's no rules about it. Some people travel without any agenda, and God bless them, but I can't do that. The only time I do that is when we're boondocking for long extended periods of time. And I know that I only need a campground for maybe a day or two in between the boondocking spots. So, but I usually put it in and I say, this is my plan for where I think I'm going to boondock. And then this is my plan A, B, and C, because you always want backup when it comes to boondocking. But I will still use TripWizard and put it in there. And I think it's a great tool, and it really gives me peace of mind to know I got all the bases are covered. Okay, so I wanted to kind of come back with my final thoughts on trip planning. In our Fulton course community, these are all new people. A lot of them, some of them never RV'd before, others have only done weekends and now they're going full time. So we get a lot of questions about trip planning, and I spend a lot of time to try to help them with whatever their struggle is, with it's TripWizard or just in general tackling what feels like a very daunting job when you're planning full-time travel. You might be doing your whole year practically at once. But what I've learned after 3 years is that plans change. I booked 4-5 months of travel between May and like the fall. And we had something come up that has completely changed all the plans. I had to go and cancel all the reservations, completely rerouted us to somewhere totally different. And yes, it was a little kind of a bummer because I was all excited about the places we were going, but there will be new and exciting things in the next plans that I have. So it happens. There are deaths in the family. There are sicknesses that sometimes derail you. Some people fall off patios and get grounded for a month at one location. But these things are okay because when your house is on wheels, you can just change and you'll find something else. Maybe you're not going to find it for 2 weeks around 4th of July in really popular spots. Maybe you're going to have to go to some smaller areas to get those reservations, but it's totally doable. So be flexible because you know what happens. If it feels off when you get to a campground, don't stay there. The worst that can happen is you lose a night, but yeah, it's not worth it for your peace of mind and your safety. We've never had that happen. We've been in some places that are not ideal, but we would have and stayed there. But we know people that just didn't, they pulled in and literally kept driving. So it will happen too. That's okay. You'll find something else, pull off somewhere, call some other places, find something else, regroup, replan. It's fine. State parks and national parks can be a real juggle. You have to look and see when the window opens at a lot of them and be there on your computer at that time, ready to pounce and try to get those reservations. Have your spot picked out that you think you want, maybe have 4 or 5. Because with us being so big, sometimes we're really limited to what spots in the state park we can actually fit in. So I will make an alarm on my phone and I will be ready at 8 o'clock, go, get in there and see if I can get it before anybody else. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I tried forever to get into a bunch of Michigan state parks for the summer and then never could get in. However, I will tell you, a lot of state parks and national parks have a reservation system where it will tell you if something comes open. And what I found, I almost forgot I did it. I was like, yeah, tell me if this comes open. I'd still take it if it comes open. And I kind of forgot about it. And as we got really close, all of the reservations starting to get canceled. I think people grab them and then they don't end up using them. So they cancel it and then it opens them back up again. So you can get in sometimes. You're just not going to know if you're going to get in. Now, unfortunately, I had found other places that were just as good in my mind, so I didn't take them up on those cancellation spots. But you better be getting on it right when you get the notification, or you're still not going to get it because everybody else is getting the notification too. So those are some things you can do when it comes to state parks, and some campgrounds will do that. Well, it'll put you on a waiting list. A lot of times they want you to call back, so then you're calling them constantly, and that's kind of a pain, but it can be done. Holidays. A lot of holidays, you're going to have a hard time getting in certain campgrounds because everybody wants to go camping, maybe in certain places on, 4th of July and even like Mother's Day weekend and things like that, Father's Day weekend. So you're going to have to book those well in advance. So those are, in my mind, if you're traveling full time and you want to be in a certain area, that's a big rock. Book it early, book it well in advance so that you can be sure you want to get to the place that you desire. Maybe it's a park that does a really cool, like, oh God, in Orlando, what is it? The Wilderness, Disney's Wilderness, whatever. That's not our jam. Like, we would never go there. But yeah, if you really want in on certain holidays, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to book that well in advance. Call and talk to some of these places. So we were planning on going up into Michigan and Wisconsin in a lot of really small remote areas. And I was looking for partial hookups, trying to save some money. I didn't want the bells and whistle resorts, maybe that a lot of people stay at. So I found some that maybe they didn't have a lot of reviews. Maybe they weren't even that great, or they had some, I call and talk to them. And I get a good sense of people. And a lot of these places are closed in the winter. And so they're not even open. So they only make calls back here and there. So I was able to talk to the owner of one of them that I was a little apprehensive on. I wasn't sure we're going to fit. I didn't know the tree cover situation because of Starlink and all that. I just talked to him. He goes, you know what? I'm going to get you in our best spot. It's the biggest one. It's the one that doesn't have as much coverage. I'm just going to move some people around and get you in there. All right, then I'll take it. So sometimes it pays to talk to people. Don't forget about rallies and RV events. We love the Escapers events. This is a group within the Escapees RV Club, and they're working age nomads that do really cool events throughout the year. I will look and see where those are and see if we can fit them into our plans. We can't do it a lot since a lot of them are in the West because there's a lot of boondocking events too. But we look and see if any of that can be worked out, because sometimes those are really fun to do. So if your brand of RV has a rally, regional rallies, smaller ones are to me better than the big ones. That's just our experience. The little ones are much better. Hopefully, as things go as well as they're going, we're going to have some meetups and camping events and things like that. We're not quite there yet. We're getting there. But there's some channels that do that as well. Our friends, the Border Hookups, have one that revolves around music, which is awesome. There's a lot of them that do gatherings, and I think that's a great addition to add to your travel plans. And things like concerts and hobbies. Like if you love classic cars, look up the classic car events. If you love baseball, make it your go to hit all the baseballs, your favorite baseball teams, and see them in a summer or something like that. Have fun with your trip planning. It's like you've seen people do Route 66. You can make it East Coast. You can do West Coast. We've done a West Coast trip. And those are how you make those lasting memories. Especially if you have kids, get your kids involved. Have them look up places and things they want to see. If you have your grandkids visiting, the same thing. We do that when our daughter comes to visit, which she doesn't come to visit very often anymore. We ask her, here's where we're going to be. If there's anything you see that you might want to do, let me know and we'll work it out, kind of thing. So it can be a family thing and have a lot of fun with it too. So I hope these tips helped you a little and help you in your planning. If you have questions, if you have more tips and ideas, come on down in the comments and let's chat, y'all. I try to go and answer everyone, and I enjoy talking to you. So definitely go down there and leave me the thumbs up or leave me a comment or share your tips, because we would love to hear from you. We'll see you next time.